Hello, today I will be drawing with petroleum jelly. The characters belong to Oh Cutesy Daisy, and he originally wanted more icons for art fight and was willing to offer art in return. But I typically don't like to trouble people unless it's a commission, especially with how long it took for me to make this. I will say these aren't characters that I usually draw. I found them very stylized, and oh yeah, I should say that apparently the guy on the left, whose name is Toy, I believe, and the one on the right is named Nobility for reference. There's supposed to be a jean texture on Toy's shirt, the hair, and so I tried my best to emulate that. You'll see later that the petroleum jelly starts to kind of smear together my attempt at the jean texture, and the lines that I drew with the colored pencils to do the jean texture, but I'll get to that. I think by the fact that I'm posting this in the art fight rules saying that you can't draw in advance, I don't think I could submit this as a attack either. Will I participate in art fight? Well, I probably could. It's good publicity, and I definitely prefer gifting over getting artwork. I do laugh a bit at people who upload their OCs and wait around, being very unsure and upset why they're not getting free fan art. I don't really think that's what Art Fight is really for. It's more so a art gifting game or even an art trading game rather than a free e-begging wish list. Anyways, back to what I'm drawing. The characters are definitely outside of my typical comfort range. I usually draw in a more anime style, and there is this one game that I've been doing fan art for. It's called Dandy's World. And while these characters are more stylized and cartoony object heads, I still try to stylize those still. With these guys, I stayed a bit more on model to the rush sheets that Oh Cutesy Daisy provided me. And hopefully it looks alright enough. I do feel it's a bit less fluid and stiff, but I'm sure with enough time, I could stylize anything with confidence. Now, for drawing with petroleum jelly, I took a small jar of petroleum jelly and I've been dipping the colored pencils into that jar. It's not very ideal for details due to how easily it smudges and blends. More so for blending and getting really cheap colored pencils would be less tough on your hands because the pigment comes out easier. And perhaps I should have kept that in mind. I bet these would be more pleasant with any colored pencil that is labeled. Oh yeah, let me explain. The worst art supply that I own subjectively, I absolutely hate unlabeled colored pencils. Like I bought two packs from Five Below. These are what they look like. And I own a couple more. Unsure where they came from. Just colored pencils my family happened to collect over the years. And I'm just going to put up one of the products on the screen. I beg you to never consider buying this specific pack. The margin of using a Crayola colored pencil and using one of these cheap colored pencils with petroleum jelly is the margin of improvement is not very high for the colored pencil. The cheap colored pencil to even compare to the Crayola colored pencil. It's just that unpigmented and cheap. I own these colored pencils, unfortunately, and I don't even think there's an opportunity that I could even declutter or resell these. They're just that bad, in my opinion, and I would not to like. I would not want to put someone through that. I am using these unlabeled colored pencils because I want to at least use all of my supplies, even the ones I don't like the most. And so I saw this specific hack from Super Ray Dizzle where she dipped the colored pencils into petroleum jelly, and I really wanted to give these unlabeled colored pencils a chance again. I also believe the paper makes a difference too. For reference, the Sylvester from Dandy's World that I did this hack with was on my Canson Mixed Media sketchbook, and using them and drawing on this paper was much more buttery. This drawing that I'm working on is on cardstock. I could not even imagine doing this hack on printer paper, which is what I usually use for most of my artworks, even though I really don't recommend it. Printer paper and my cousin's graded homeworks is not ideal for art, but I more so use it for the accessibility and affordability rather than the utmost quality. I heard that once you go back to regularly using really good art paper, you never want to go back, which seems really funny, honestly. It's definitely not the most prettiest coloring I've ever done. I feel like my artwork definitely shines strongest when I use more than one art supply. I guess in my mind I was worried I'd be cheating and not properly displaying how the petroleum jelly with the coloring pencils is working. For reference, the colored pencils with the petroleum jelly is, I'd say, 30 to 50% more saturated and creamy compared to just using them regularly. I don't know if the camera picks that up well, but take my word for it. If you want to do more finer details, I'd say color in the bases with markers and then use the petroleum hack on top of everything to finish up the finer details. Or use your higher quality materials like maybe Crayola or Prismacolor colored pencils for the finer details. And alright, I finished this artwork. I'm going to let it dry a bit due to the petroleum jelly, and I usually wipe off any excess with a towel. I use a HP NV6055 to scan. I don't really know if the printer matters since this is the only printer I've ever really had, but just scan according to the HP Smart app. I don't really have any specific settings for the scan, just use what's right for you. I've never followed up if stuff like DPI or specific dimensions matter, so I've just kind of left it. I've always ended up digitally editing it anyways. I sometimes prioritize a more tradigital vibe, but this time I'll allow some of the imperfections to go through specifically in the coloring. For color correcting, I'm using Paint Tool Psi, and I'm using the color layer to color correct accordingly. I also make sure to scan the liner ahead of time, turn it transparent, and then overlay the liner on top of the coloring so it looks crisper. And yeah, this is my progress for this artwork. I hope you found this entertaining or informative somehow, and thank you for watching!